developments. Let's have a look.
Thank you for joining us too.
Thank you.
Now, gentlemen, climate change, of course, is a big subject right now, and it's not just in Kenya. It is a global problem. But let's start, first of all, with just our local setup. Where are we going wrong? Eddie.
Thank you so much. I believe there are so many things that we've not been able to address, from our policies to the technologies that we are embracing to advance the agenda of fighting climate change. Mm-hmm. We are not really controlling the import of equipment that are polluting the atmosphere. We're just embracing the technology from wherever, and we bring in the country, and before we know it, we are emitting an enormous amount of CO2, mm-hmm. which is already affecting the atmosphere. So from the policy and regulations on the import of the equipment we are using, we could be somehow getting it wrong.
Okay. Do you agree that maybe at the policy level we seem to be having challenges right there?
This is something hopefully at the policy level. In terms of a country, compare Kenya in Africa, is the second country to have a climate act, mm-hmm. in Africa. So the progress in terms of policy, there's something being done. But the drive of economic development is shifting towards the interest of economic growth without the interest of environmental conservation. So we are actually depriving ourselves the rights for the future generation. Mm-hmm. That means we are looking at the interest of having a road expansion, having huge tall buildings around, but what is the impact on the forest cover around? What is the impact of the expanded road and the cities that we're building, that with the population moving to the cities, what will it be? Looking at the statistics, when we got independence as a country, we had a population of less than 200,000. But now the population of Nairobi, we're talking of nearly 4-point-something million. That is a city like Nairobi. In the next 30 years, what will be Nairobi? In terms of road expansion, what are they going to do? With all that population moving to a city, it has an effect while we are having people coming in and having economic growth with people coming in with cars. People coming, every time there's a dollar increasing in the economy, there's something happening at a local level. That tilt shifts towards also the environment. In terms of the time you leave your house to the office, you're polluting, either by a car or luckily those who are walking to work. So that is a shift that is actually a challenge. Mm-hmm. And I think the challenge now at the policy level is to align this action of development to the policy intention they are doing.
All right. Yeah. Looking at Kenya, we're already paying the price for negative climate change. I mean, you look at drought in certain parts of the country, which has already hit us, and those can directly be linked to the fact that we're suffering the effects of negative climate change. Do you think we are getting to a point where it's getting any better, or are we literally, as usual, as we're accused of doing, reacting when things are too late?
Yeah, I think we can even go back from a few years ago. We were all excited about tree planting. We'd had a lot of activity about tree planting. And this seemed to only work around the urban and semi-urban area. Mm-hmm. But what we don't see is how can we accelerate this battle against climate change in rural area. In most cases, you'll find that these are the people who are mostly marginalized in terms of they get little attention, maybe because of their representation in the population quota, but you find that there is that negligence of some sort to the government trying to give attention to these regions. Mm. The other thing you can look at is what efforts the activists are doing. You find that most of the guys who are in the rural areas, they seem to be in a shadow, in complete. They've been somehow forgotten in this effort of fighting climate change. And while here in the cities, people are trying to pollute in all forms, these people in the rural area are trying to keep it within control. We have all these efforts in the rural area. If we had the technologies and the knowledge and the expertise that we have in the cities, in these regions, we could have it would have advanced. because we have agribusiness, we have people trying to grow things in a very local way without using all these sophisticated chemicals and technologies. We have people who are still trying to, in the areas where you have people who are habitable areas, you can see there is still some green vegetation that is still growing up there. But these people don't have the expertise we have in the cities.
Okay.
These people don't have the technologies we've embraced in the cities.
Yeah. All right, Benedict, one of the areas that hopefully would help us greatly is the use of renewable energy and natural energy, which we're blessed with. There's wind energy. When we look at our water, we don't seem to recycle it. We have solar energy, which we don't seem to utilize to the max. How can we improve on that? What's the challenge that we have? Is it technology?
Yeah, just to link my first point at the policy and the intention of the country, and the question you first asked my colleague Eddie, what is the nation doing in terms of the shift into where we are getting the impacts of climate change?
Right.
We can say we have a reprieve of saying we are the not the polluters. We are the ones receiving the impact. But the challenge on our end, what can we do to improve, to adapt to a new challenge we are facing? So the question of bringing on renewable energy is very center of a country like Kenya to shift and move to that direction, because we have the abundance of 10,000 megawatts potential of geothermal. We have the wind power, and we're talking of Lake Turkana wind power project of 300 megawatts to be the largest wind farm in Africa. We're talking of the potential of other wind farms, small, that are coming along Ngong Hills. We're talking in northern Kenya, we have the immense of solar power, which is potential. And if they tap into this opportunity, then we'll be addressing the challenge we're facing of climate change. Because energy itself is the major factor in climate change.
All right, that was an earlier interview Michael conducted with those two gentlemen on climate change. And it's on that note that we wrap up World View this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sophia Wanuna. Ali Manzu is coming up with Biu ya KTN. Stay with KTN News.